Hey everybody, this is me, Undead Viking, and this is Deathbot Derby. Now, I remember when I was younger, I'm going to say like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, oh my gosh, 20 years ago, oof. There was this weird craze of like late night TV shows that were like in syndication and what have you, that was all about robot fights. Like basically there were these like arenas that had all these like weird hydraulic presses and flamethrowers and what have you, and people would like create robots out of scrap metal and erector sets and what have you, and they would have them battle each other in these arenas where they would, you know, like try to pick up each other's robot and try to like drag them over and like shove them into holes and things like that. And you know, it wasn't really great TV. I'll be completely honest, but it wasn't really bad TV either. I mean, it was one of those things where it was kind of neat to see what everybody created. Deathbot Derby, it takes that kind of mentality and turns it into a very quick-playing two-player war game almost. It's a very tactical game where each person has like their robot that they build from scratch using cards. There's a card drafting thing. I'll show you in a little bit here. And then they maneuver their way through a literal minefield of an arena that is created differently each and every time you play, and try to do away with the other person's robot. And whoever's robot is left standing at the end is the winner. So let me show you how to play Deathbot Derby, and then we'll come back here and we'll talk more about why I've been having fun playing this with my daughter. All right, cool. This is Deathbot Derby. I should mention that this game is set up randomly each and every time that you play. All of these cards represent the arena that you'll be fighting in. And when you shuffle these and deal them out to create your arena, you both shuffle the cards and also flip cards over. The reason for that is that some of these cards, as you can see, like this card, has a wall on it. On the other side, you know, it doesn't have anything. So you want a good mix of tiles that don't have anything on them, and also tiles that have different obstacles and what have you as well. Some of these things, like the walls, obviously, will block movement and block line of sight for ranged attacks. But some of them will do things like these little wrenches here. Those will repair. If you drive over those with your robot, you'll heal 1 damage. These buzzsaws, they'll do damage to whatever your robot uses for movement. So they can do damage to your tires and what have you. These little C4 charges are bombs. They'll just do damage to your robot, and it's, you know, if you have armor, they'll do damage to your armor first. But if you run out of armor, then they start damaging your components. You'll notice that there are these little treadmills. Whatever direction the treadmill is going in, it'll like propel your robot in that direction with a movement of 1. So you have these different things that happen depending upon where your robot is and whether or not they go over them. Now, each person will get a little card that'll have your armor on it. This little robot here has armor 4, 3, 2, 1, and as you take damage, you just reduce your armor like so. Once your armor is gone, your opponent can start damaging the components of your robot. So you want to keep, if your armor runs out, you do want to be able to like heal it up if you can. And you can see that when your armor is gone, you just flip it over and it says armor disabled on the other side. Each person also gets this kind of easy button thing. This is you can use this as an action on your turn. When you use it, you get to roll a die. And then you roll this die, and you'll notice that each of these tiles has a number on it. So when you roll the die, you then look for all the tiles that have that number, and you flip them over. So that 5 turns over, and now it has access to like the repair function on that. And you do that for each and every single one of the tiles. Now, if a robot happens to be, like, I kind of cheat a little bit, I know it's underneath this. If a robot happens to be in a spot where you flip it over, say you rolled a 6, and you turn that over, and then you got the buzzsaw, they'd immediately do damage to the robot, because they're there. If they happen to pop up, a wall pops up underneath a robot, they take 1 point of damage, and they just get pushed to the next adjacent spot. The person who was running the robot gets to pick which spot they go to. If you roll a 1, there are no 1s on any of these cards. If you roll a 1, you then pick which number you want changed. Now, as you can see, this also has 4 uses, 4, 3, 2, 1. You just revolve it. On the back, there's this little cheat sheet that tells you what each of those locations does as far as the different special spots on the arena. All right, so how do you build up your robot? Well, there's this deck of cards. They have movement cards, they have ranged weapon cards, they have melee weapon cards, and they have secret weapon cards. So the first thing that happens is the first player takes the top 3 movement cards, and they're going to look at all 3 of these. All of these will have stats on them, like see these treads have 3 speed, and then if they have special abilities, like it's immune to buzzsaws and scythe wheels, +1 to melee attacks. Pretty good. Plus it has 4 health, so once again, if you're taking damage to you'd revolve it, like so. Here are the Unicycle. 3 speed, may move diagonally. Most movement is orthogonally, north, south, east, west, but this one can move diagonally. That's pretty good. And here's those scythe wheels we just talked about. If you're next to somebody, you'll be able to do a point of damage. Well, I really like the treads, because basically that makes the scythe wheels useless. So then the other player is probably going to take the unicycle. So we're going to put that down. All right, so then the movement cards that we didn't draw just get put aside. Now, the second player takes the top 3 ranged weapons, and we do the exact same thing. So here we have a flamethrower, can attack diagonally, once again, orthogonally as normal. It has 2 hit points. The harpoon gun, you can pull your enemy to your closest adjacent spot. That'd be useful if you use it to coincide with a bomb or something that's on the board. Pretty cool. And then a machine gun, 1 damage and 6 range. Well, that's not a lot of range. But you know what? I like the harpoon gun, so we're going to go ahead and put that there. And this one does 2 damage, and I like that. So we're going to go ahead and make that the flamethrower. All right, so then once again, get rid of the range damage. Melee weapons, take the top 3, and now this is still the second player. This is kind of like a serpentine draft. So they have a hammer, can attack diagonally, 3 health, a spinner, push enemy back 1 space, that's always good, and then a taser. Use once per turn, enemy has 1 less action next turn. Normally you have 2 actions, but this would make you have 1 less. Well, I'm going to go with the big damage one, so we're going to take this one that has 3. And then remember, the treads, +1 to melee attack, so I don't like that taser, but I am going to go ahead and take the hammer, and, so we do 3 damage, and I can attack diagonally with it. And then the final thing is secret weapons. Now we go back to the first player, and we're going to use a secret weapon. So here we have the tech upgrade, swap a working component with an unused component of the same type. That's pretty good. Thrusters, take a free move action this turn. Or ballistic armor, immune to all ranged attacks, ongoing until melee damage is taken. Well, I actually like that, because I'm going to be going for melee with this guy. Well, actually, no, that wouldn't... Well, yeah, actually, I do like that. So, I don't like the fact that, as far as the harpoon gun being able to drag me around, so I'm just going to go ahead. And the thing is that you do turn your secret weapon over so they can't see it. And I like being able to upgrade, if possible, if I was this character. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. So now both of you have created your robots, and you're good to go. Roll the die, figure out who's the first player. On your turn, you get 2 actions. You have basically 2 options, too. You can move, and you can attack. You have to complete your entire action before you do the next one. Attacks don't rely on dice. They just assume they hit. So the whole point is that you're going to be trying to get close enough to do damage and to have combos with the different spots on the board that actually allow you to do more damage than normally. Attacks are pretty normal, so let me just kind of manufacture something here. So if we're in a situation, remember orthogonally, if you have a flamethrower and you have an attack action, you can go 2 spots away and you can do 2 damage to your opponent. If you can draw it. If there is a wall, basically the line of sight is you draw a line from the center to the other center of the spots you're trying to shoot. If there's a wall, it breaks line of sight, and you can't do that. There are homing missiles as a secret weapon that you don't have to have line of sight, but you have that. Now, as I said, range is always orthogonal. So if you were there and there, you would go 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be the range between those 2. Also, as I said, if you are doing melee, you have to be next to each other unless you have, and you can be diagonal if you happen to be that. Now, as I said, as you take damage, you reduce your armor. One damage, whatever the damage is, you reduce that. Once your armor is disabled, then when the person attacks you, they can pick which component they want to destroy. Now, if they manage to destroy your movement, you still retain 1 speed, and when you move the speed that you have. So this is like a 3 speed. So with 3 movement, you'd go 1, 2, 3. Or you could go 1, 2, 3. And if you have that, if it's something that allows diagonal movement like that one does, and a speed of 3, you could go 1, 2, 3 like that. But the movement is dependent upon the movement rating of the thing that you're using. Also, if ranged weapons, once they're destroyed, they're destroyed. Obviously, you can still heal them if you go into a spot. But if your melee weapon gets disabled, you still can do 1 point of damage according to this. So the game just continues until one person has had all of their components destroyed. And as I said, once you use your secret weapon, obviously it's out there. Once it's destroyed, it's gone. So once all of your stuff has been destroyed by your opponent, then you've lost the arena battle and you've lost Deathbot Derby. Now, this is one of those, as I like to call them, mega fillers, I guess, in a way. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of tactical and strategic choices, but this is a very bloody, very quick to resolve combat. I like the fact that there isn't a bunch of dice rolling to figure out if your defense works or your attack works. This game is meant to be played in a very, very short period of time, just between 2 people that are looking to kill maybe 15-20 minutes before everybody else shows up for that really big game you're planning, or if you just playing a game with your buddy over your lunch hour or something like that. It's a lot of fun, a lot of choices, lots of different ways that you can build up your robot, and like I said, if you dug that craze, I remember the whole robot building fighting mega craze or whatever there was 15 years ago. I'm sure it still exists, but I remember several TV shows about it. If you dug that, I think you're going to really like this one. But let me talk more about that in my... There we go, it's Deathbot Derby. Alright, so as I said in the introduction, I've been having fun playing this with my daughter. Now, you guys know I play a lot of games with my daughter, and she likes things where she can beat up her dad. I think she just... she's a very combative gamer, and I think I've kind of bred that in her. I didn't mean to make her a very combative player. Let me just put it this way: I don't see her when she's a little bit older. I don't see her pulling Pillars of the Earth off of the shelf to play something. I see her pulling down my old Car Wars arenas and building something that with machine guns and flamethrowers, so she can use those to destroy somebody, which is fine. She is my daughter. So when I was able to show her this, something that is easier to grasp, something that is kind of has its pitfalls literally, and some cleverness interspersed within some fairly basic strategy and tactics, she really took to it, and she really liked the whole process of being able to build the robot. And I should have mentioned something each one of these parts or whatever has a little thing here. So let me see these cards real quick here. So the harpoon is Scorpio, the unicycle movement is Giga, and the spinner is Saurus. So this robot will be called Gigoscorpiosaurus. So, and she really liked that. She liked creating the different robots and coming up with the crazy names for them. So, and that's cool little things like that, cool little additions, and pretty neat art, I might add, as well, that just make games like this little pop and are more fun. Now, is it the most complex game you'll ever play? No. As I said, it's just one of those kind of weird mega fillers where, you just have 2 people kicking around trying to figure out something to do while, like I said, waiting for the big game to start kind of thing. And if I was still, heading into the corporate world, this would be in my my bag o' games, if you will, that I would take in. And just if I had some sucker that wanted to play against me while we had our sandwiches over lunch, this was something that I would do. Now, I mean, obviously, if you're not a two-player gamer, then this doesn't support more. But I definitely can see that, like, if you had 2 copies of this, you could make some giant arena, or even like keep the small arena and make all 4 of you duke it out. And I think that would be a lot of fun. So maybe that's an option. All right, cool. Well, that is Deathbot Derby. If you have any questions about it, please ask away. I'll be happy to answer those to the best of my ability. Thank you very much, as always, for taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, I'm Deathbot Viking, telling you, have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.